You're watching the Isaiah Factor, Uncensored.
And welcome back to the second half hour of the Factor Uncensored. Right now, we're going to take you to Washington, D.C., outside the U.S. Supreme Court, where you have both sides of the argument there when it comes to abortion. Now, tonight, we are talking abortion rights. Soon, they could be a thing of the past. That's why so many people are gathered outside the Supreme Court. You're looking at live there in D.C. An early draft. A draft from the Supreme Court tonight obtained by Politico states that Roe versus Wade is egregiously wrong. Here to weigh in on the breaking news is Fox 26 legal analyst Chris Tritico.
What we know is according to Politico, this is a vote that was taken in February, and 5 justices approved of the overturning of Roe versus Wade in an opinion written by Justice Alito in a full-throated, as reported, a full-throated repudiation of Roe versus Wade.
This is a huge deal if Politico is accurate in their reporting, right?
Yes, it's what we've been expecting ever since Amy Coney Barrett took the bench in place of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It was just really a matter of time. Chief Justice Roberts cannot control the court anymore like he had been. There is a 5-4 majority with the Chief Justice in the minority now on issues like this. And they were just waiting for the right case to get there to overturn Roe versus Wade. And it looks like that's about to happen.
And once again, we need to emphasize this is only a draft, according to Politico and their reporting. But if this is true, what does this mean for women here in this country?
So if this opinion stays as it is, then Roe versus Wade will be overturned. It will no longer be the law of the land. And according to the opinion, they're going to turn it back over to the states so each state can come up with its own plan for how abortion will be dealt with in each individual state. Texas, for instance, has banned abortion beyond 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court refused to act on that when it got there earlier or late last year. And so that will remain the law in the state of Texas. And you'll see each state approach abortion in a different fashion. And it'll stay that way until Congress does something about it and passes a national law, if they ever do. And that's what the Supreme Court has been saying for years, is Congress needs to act on this issue. And that's what they've been waiting for.
Now, there will be no uniformity in this country because any state can come up with any abortion rule that they want to. For example, here in Texas, it's 6 weeks. In Mississippi, another amount of weeks for a woman to decide if she's going to have an abortion before it's banned. How big of a problem will that be? Will we have women traveling or families traveling from state to state depending on their abortion rules?
Absolutely. And you're going to see states like California and New York, the more liberal states, have a much more liberal law with respect to abortion rights. And so you'll see women who can afford it travel to those states to travel to those states to utilize that more liberal law to have an abortion if they can. And in states like Texas, you'll see women who can't afford to travel, unfortunately, use backdoor methods and back alley methods to get the abortions. Unfortunately, it's going to be a very, very bad time for women in abortion rights. It's going to be the Wild West, if you will.
Depending on your perspective, obviously, I just saw a live feed out of Washington, D.C., where those who are for pro-life, they are already celebrating, chanting, and singing outside the Supreme Court.
Well, and this is what the pro-life movement has been waiting for a very, very long time. And everyone knew when President Trump appointed Amy Coney Barrett and the conservatives got the 5-4 majority on the Supreme Court, that this is exactly what was going to happen. We didn't know how long it was going to be, but we knew that as soon as they could, they were going to overturn Roe versus Wade. And I will not be surprised if this opinion stays as it is reported and comes out later this year as it is reported now.
And once again, Chris, you're saying, and of course I'm saying, and others are reporting, that this is a draft that supposedly Politico got their hands on and published now. But we expect this or anticipate this to be published in about 2 months, right? Where we see the actual decision from the U.S. Supreme Court.
Correct. Now, drafts can change, and that's why they're never released. And I don't suspect that this was a mistake, that this draft was released to Politico. But that's the reasons the Supreme Court never releases drafts early is because they tend to change. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that this court is going to change its opinion on abortion, and I don't think it's going to change its opinion on how abortion should be handled in the country. This is exactly what the conservatives have been asking for, is for the states to regulate abortion. And quite frankly, Justice Ginsburg said, had she been on the court when Roe versus Wade was decided, she would have voted against it because she thought that it was wrongly decided and it should be a state's issue. And so even though she upheld it time and time again, she thought it should have been a state's issue itself.
All right, Chris Politico, Fox 26 legal analyst. Thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight, sir.
Once again, we give you a live look outside the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. as protesters gather after tonight's news of the Roe versus Wade opinion, where we're hearing that a draft shows that it will be overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. We could get a published opinion in as soon as 2 months. So far, everything has been peaceful and tame out there. These protests have not turned violent as of yet. More Factor after the break. Stay with us.